You're no longer stuck in quarantine at home, and and I no longer have any money after yesterday. Everybody getting injured. No, I'm kidding.
I'm afraid to look at my State. I'm afraid to look at my State Kings account if you don't have any money.
It couldn't have been good, man. It was injury central. I don't know. I think I had 7 guys at 20+% that just went down like right away, and it just sort of killed my day. How are you doing though? You had an okay day in football?
Yeah, I did nicely in football actually. I made because with my newfound expertise in Yahoo, I ended up making like 200 in football over there. I was true to what I said in my thing. I just was all over the Arizona game, the Atlanta game, and the Houston game, and parts of all of it did okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. Parts of all of it did okay, and I was right on a couple of things, and I didn't play that many lineups, so I didn't have that many players. So I had like 40% of this Robinson dude on Jacksonville who ended up at 4%. So that helped me out, obviously. And what I ended up doing, I ended up playing 0 Jonathan Taylor in GPPs, which worked out fine. You know what I mean? I had a 0 of him. I ended up with 0 of I had 0 of a lot of guys, actually, that maybe I shouldn't have had 0 of. But again, when you only played like 20 lineups, I mean, you could have 0, without it being that big of a deal. So, nothing, I had no big sweats or anything like that. But I ended up kind of like what a Sheets day looks like when he's pretty much right. Like probably like 80% of my lineups cashed, but like nothing, you know what I mean? But nothing like really, really great. You know what I mean? So, golf ended up okay. I know Bobby had a big run because golf, just one bad hole and you're out. But Bobby had like a top 20 in the 100,000 buy-in lottery ticket tournament. I didn't have anything like that, but golf was okay.
Yeah, man. Overall, I think you did better than I did. I just didn't. The injuries have been frustrating. I don't feel like it's been going quite my way. I feel like going back to baseball last week with DeGrom, and I just am not getting it right with any of my main lineups, and basically everything is already concentrated on guys who are just not playing. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit about who you like tonight, because
you know what's great. You know what's awesome about the sport that we play? You know what it's called? It's called daily fantasy sports.
I know, man. I mean? It's been every day.
It's just a new day, a new chalky pitcher against Seattle you could play. It's like every single day you get a chance to get DeGrom to go out with a bad hamstring again if you want. You know what I mean? Like 3 days later, you get right back into it. And what I actually did, I actually prepared for this a little bit because I did a video which I'm not putting up, whatever, just because there's no need to. But I did it for my own benefit, to have myself talk through it and stuff like that, so I'd be a little bit more prepared for this. So for me, it's a very nice, easy slate. Easy slate to at least handicap, right? To at least put out there. So for me, I don't know. You want me to just go give an overall slate view first?
Yeah. Real quick, there's a guy who used to watch shows that I did on Roto Grinders, and he won $1 million yesterday on FanDuel.
What?
Yeah, he won. I think he had 2 entries, so $8. So I just want to give a little shout out to Charles. I can never pronounce his last name. It's Battle Lament, whatever. But congratulations, man. He's a good guy. He used to be in the chat rooms all the time, and
that's awesome.
He knows his stuff too, and he does his own podcast. But $1 million, man. That's pretty cool. So a little shout out.
So I guess I'll do the overall slate view. I guess from the pitcher's perspective, for me, on FanDuel, it's just going to be DeGrom. I don't think I need to go down to McCullers, who would be my second option. The only reason I would need to get down to McCullers, and I guess we go through the teams, we'll talk about this, is if I wanted to pay for some of the more expensive Braves or something like that. But for me, I'm pretty content on FanDuel with just DeGrom. On DraftKings, what I have is 3 pitchers. I have, the uber chalky DeGrom McCullers pairing. And then to not pivot, I don't even know how low on this guy's going to be, but if you don't want to play McCullers, you could go to Marquez as the third guy. That was where I was going to do at least. And So I was going to do most of my lineups DeGrom McCullers, except again when I needed to spend up for guys hitting, in which case I may do a couple with McCullers Marquez. But from a pitching perspective, that's pretty much where I was at. I'm not going to play Castillo. I wasn't going to get to him. That was my idea on DraftKings when I first looked at it. Okay, I played DeGrom and pivoted to Castillo, right? But I just didn't think I needed to. So for me, it's just going to be DeGrom, McCullers, and Marquez. What did you think?
I tried to do this before, this exact same situation, and it's pretty easy to play DeGrom and Castillo if you want to. But I don't necessarily like Castillo that much more than McCullers, and you're not getting that big of an ownership gap. If that changes, I think I would consider going a different route. But really, those are the only guys I'm even considering. I don't really have any reason to attack anybody else. Oh, and sorry, and Marquez. I don't really have a reason to use anybody else. I could make an argument for John Lester, but I don't really want to. So I'm going to just leave it with those guys.
Where and now let me ask you another, because I just love doing like the full slate view because I went over this pretty much.
Yeah.
So who is your favorite? Okay, so who is your favorite stack with no ownership consideration, and then who would be your favorite stack with ownership consideration?
No ownership consideration, it might, and no price, it might.
Well, no, I mean with price.
Oh, it's hard because those sort of go as long as the same thing.
Oh,
to me, like the price, because like I don't know, you can't really do like you can't say Atlanta and the Yankees because the price doesn't allow you to. I mean, you have to play a different pitchers then if you want to do that, or you could use I guess some value some other places if you do just stack one of them. I like the Royals as a sneaky stack, and that's sort of what I think I'm going to do. It's a little bit pricing based, and I never stack against Wainwright, but the hard contact is enough. If I'm not going to do a full 5-man, but if I do a 3 or a 4-man, I feel like I'm going to get have a good chance of getting a couple home runs and potentially a stolen base or two tonight. So I really like them as like a mini stack.
That is not what I was expecting. I mean, I do like the only thing I had wrote down from that game was on the Kansas City side was Gordon as like kind of like
2100, yeah.
But what I was getting at is I thought that the best value kind of like by a decent amount was going to be the Cubs. But I wasn't sure where their ownership was going to come in. So
I just don't generally I don't like a lot of these games today, to be honest with you. And it's partly why I like the Royals game a little bit better is like New York is playing in Buffalo in 62-degree weather.
Yep.
You have it cold in Pittsburgh, 64 degrees, I believe it's in Pittsburgh. In basically a bullpen game with an offense that just doesn't excite me in general at Bad Hitters Park. All of these things just make it not exciting to me. I mean, the Cubs certainly, I think they'll be popular. Right. You'd imagine they'd be like really popular. I have no interest in playing them at high
awesome. Now, so the Cubs were going to be like my top rated stack, right, without ownership. And then what I had like 4 teams. Actually, like 5 teams that I could just kind of like flip a coin with, given value. And with the one I was going to fade, because this is my initial ownership run had this team being the most popular, was I was going to fade St. Louis. But again, I presumed that they were going to be really popular. If I'm wrong,
I actually think that they're going to be less owned than people think because of their prices.
Okay.
But they'll have ownership. Like I like this game in general. They're the other side of the game that I like. Like. I especially like, Brad Miller's got that position flexibility. Goldschmidt's expensive, which might keep some people off of him at 5.3 at first, so I like him. DeYoung also, you play DeYoung and Brad Miller in the same lineup and get shortstop and second base taken care of. Tyler O'Neill is like a good like, cheap power spot at the bottom of the order. So those guys, along with Tommy Edman, all make a lot of sense. I'm less interested in Matt Carpenter.
Okay. And then the other guys, the other teams I had, like, or just kind of on not the expensive side, but like Houston to me was kind of like the logical one. But the problem is he's going against a pitcher who just never gives up any runs ever. So I liked Houston. I like the Yankees. Again, the weather stinks, but like I said, there aren't that many great options today. I like the Yankees. I like Houston. And I like Atlanta, but Atlanta is going to be really, really difficult to get in. And I was going to talk to you about this because
we're used to these warm summer games too in Atlanta, and tonight it's been, because that's what we've mostly gotten all year. It's 67 with the winds blowing in from left. It's not this is my excuse for fading high, expensive medium chalk or whatever. And I'm just going to go where there's better hitting conditions. And I feel like there's just as much power upside in this Royals-Cardinals game. And I don't think people are going to play the Royals side of it.
And the last one I wanted to get into, and more on FanDuel, but whatever, but I would try them, and it depends on the lineup. I mean, this is like really just like uber gross. I mean, if you don't like playing in the cold in Toronto, if you don't like playing in the cold in Pittsburgh, how about trying to play Colorado like in like probably the worst park in like the world, right? So that's another team I was going to consider. Not to mention the fact that we don't like to really attack Cueto either. But like on a 6-game slate, I was just looking for anything, and these guys just kind of barely made it for me, and I might end up having too much of them on FanDuel. And on DraftKings, I'm probably not going to make a big deal about them, but I'm probably going to try some of it. Like I'll probably play some of the cheaper lefties, like if Dahl gets in, or the guys you really don't like, like Tapia guys just can move the lineup a little bit, and Blackman I obviously want to get in. So that's going to be my kind of like, I guess, off the boardish type team is probably Colorado.
Okay, I can get behind some of it. I just personally like Cueto fine. I actually think he's probably like if you're playing a ton of lineups, I would definitely play him somewhere. Yeah, I mean, it's not an exciting hitting slate, so I'm sort of more targeted in on that game where Wainwright, I've said all the reasons why in general on big slates I don't like stacking against him, especially like you don't want to stack the Royals, but if I can do a 3 or a 4 man. And this guy gives up, a home run or two basically every game. He's his control is mostly in his past been pretty good, but it's sort of been a little bit spotty lately. I just think that there's enough upside for them to play. Maybe you don't play the full stack, but I do like this whole game in general, and it's also the best hitting conditions on the slate.
I wanted to ask you, so I was talking through this. I was looking at Atlanta, like in general, and I was talking through it. I'm like, well, it's so hard to get in the Atlanta guys because they're so expensive. And I just hear you kind of in the background saying, it doesn't matter to me. I don't want the expensive guys. You don't like them, I'll just play the fucking cheap. I'll just play the cheap guys. But what do you do when you really like the expensive guys? it's like,
well, if you really want to play Atlanta, and I think they're a great stack. Obviously, they make a lot of sense. But I think that you just find a way to get them in and use the other value elsewhere. Then. They're not, because of their price, while they're going to have ownership, it's not like the ownership isn't going to be condensed like we had last week where we had the Dodgers and Coors games, which, by the way, was pretty much always still a must play. But I think Atlanta ends up being less owned than you might think. I think they'll be popular on FanDuel. I don't think they'll be popular on DraftKings. And I actually think that they're probably the stack you might want to get in because of the combustibility of the entire Miami bullpen. This is a good spot for them. So, I'm sort of coming around to Atlanta a little bit more as we talk about it.
I like that Bobby's just trotting out combustibility is just right there on the tip of his tongue. I mean, it's like just amazing. Where'd that come from? From a homeschool dude. That's style.
Hey, I was almost done with school when I was 13 years old, buddy. I wasn't a dummy. But yeah, it's true. It is easy to do when you're homeschooled, I have to say. All right, but you want to go position by position? I think we got a good idea of the stacks here.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I love the Pittsburgh stack. They're the cheap value, and I don't think I'll be alone in that. I think their value guys are going to be played like 1 and 2 offs quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to need them really. We'll get to those. But like Guy Reynolds, I thought was a really good value. And who's the other one?
Brian Reynolds.
Guy was really good.
Brian Hayes has just been good, so I'd play him at third. That was sort of.
And your man,
Eric Gonzalez. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to use him today, but I do like him. I don't know if I want to go that big on that Pittsburgh stack. This team does not score runs, so it scares me a little bit. But they can steal bases, so that is a little boost for me. All right, you want to talk about catchers?
Oh, I was going to go first base first just because my alphabetizing, but that's okay.
Oh, sure. Let's go first.
Catcher stinks. But my favorite catcher, fortunately or unfortunately, is going to be paying up for the chalky stack, and that's going to be Contreras at 4,400. I know you're not too into the Cubs, but Tim, if Tony Walters gets in the lineup at 2K, if you want to pay down, you can do that. And Two other guys that we like to. Oh boy, if you like St. Louis, if you like KC,
I love Perez.
Perez is in there. And if you like Pittsburgh, Stallings, there are guys that I like to play they're playing today. You know what I mean? Like Molina, I like to play. Perez, I like to play. Stallings, I never really played d'Arnaud like this year
Because his price has been crazy, but he's been great.
Yeah,
The price has been.
so I guess I would start with Contreras.
Yeah, I like the guys in my game. My guys are mostly going to be Sal Perez, and then Molina is fine too with me. Sort of in the middle, those would be my guys. And then if I'm paying down, I don't mind any of Kirk or Stallings. I wouldn't play Wilters.
Yeah.
And first base?
Yeah, first base. Again, it's going to be kind of thematic here with me probably coming up with a game you don't like. But my favorite is going to be Rizzo. 4,100 lefty versus him. It just seems a little bit too cheap. And then the other guy who we talk about pretty much every slate is is Brandon Belt. He's I don't know if I'm gonna stack that game or anything like that. I like Marquez and whatever, but freaking 3,200, like we discussed, man, no respect. So for me, it'd be Rizzo and Belt would be my two top guys, and then just to be thematic, if I do any Colorado business, if I can get Fuentes at 2,800, I would probably try that.
Yeah, I like the Belt and Rizzo are fine. Like I think you're choosing between those two for cash games. Those are going to be the popular ones.
Okay.
I like Goldschmidt and
Voit.
And no, Voigt's fine. Yeah, I always like Voit, but Goldschmidt and Dozier would be my favorite too.
Dozier.
I like Hunter Dozier a lot tonight.
Dude, this is going to be good, man. These KC guys, they all seem to make sense, and I don't want to say nobody because it's only a 6-game slate.
Yeah, but they're going to be low owned.
But nobody's going to play them. I was about to say.
Yeah. I feel good about taking a stand to try and get a couple of home. And I feel like Dozier and Perez along with Merrifield are my favorite. And then you throw in like a guy like Gordon, and all of a sudden you've got a pretty cheap stack because he can make it work at 2,100. So that was sort of my thinking also. I don't like them as much on FanDuel where you don't. I don't know. I'm just sort of trying. I like the way it filled out on FanDuel on DraftKings really well. Second base favorites?
Second base, my value guy from the Cubs is scratched. So I was going to say Horner. Aside from that, Altuve, he'll get a hit one day. Colton Wong and Altuve. And
you're going chalkier than usual today.
Yeah, I'm just telling there's 6 games, right?
Yeah, sure, it makes sense. I guess you don't have a choice.
So again, if I'm gonna stack Colorado, I'll play McMahon then.
Right.
You want to pay 5,100 for Albies?
I mean, if you're playing Atlanta, I think it's a really, really good play. Like I really do. But I think more likely I'm mostly playing Brad Miller.
Okay.
I think he's the guy who makes the most sense to me, and don't really have like a ton of guys here. Like I get the Altuve, Wong, Mega. Those guys are going to split the ownership like in half. They're going to be like 50%.
Okay.
I think. And then I don't really like maybe McMahon makes some sense. I think it's mostly going to be one of the chalk guys, Albies, or more likely it's just going to end up being Miller at second base.
Who?
Brad Miller.
Oh, okay.
All right, third base.
Yeah, third base.
It's the uber chalk here of the tournament.
Chalk City, man. It's Chalk City, USA. Brian and Greg. Yes.
So it's Bryant is the obvious cash game play.
Yeah.
I think Bregman is always a good play against lefties in general. I like Brian Hayes. That's where I'm going down. I don't mind if you want to use you could use the other guys here. I guess I'm not as big on Carpenter, even though I like St. Louis today. You could use Ozuna. I don't know if I guess they did bring the lineup out and he's batting ninth. But again, if you're making a little Pittsburgh stack, you can go that route. It's Tom, and then Tommy Edmonds, the other one for me. I'm pretty much staying. Oh, and Maikel Franco. Pretty much staying with the Franco Edmond, mostly staying around that game, and Brian Hayes. Those are my guys.
So shortstop. That's next.
Yep.
So shortstop, I have four guys that are very similar,
Mhm.
and there's no way that all four of these guys can be really chalky, right? So let's start with this. Why don't you tell me who's going to be most popular
Most popular by
in general?
far. Well, not by far. I think Trevor Story will be the most popular. I think somewhere between Glaber, Mondesi, and Brad Miller will be the next most popular.
Not DeJong?
DeJong will be just underneath him, and he's my favorite.
Okay, good, because that's probably because what it is. I have four guys ranked about the exact same, and DeJong is one of them. So if
Mm-hmm.
he's the lowest owned and you like him the most, then that's good enough for me.
I actually think the best way to play, if you're going to play the Cubs stacked, like the one, you could just do the easiest thing in the world and get different by playing Baez. Baez is going to be like the one guy. Actually, play Baez without the Cubs stack. Be really different because he's an awesome one-off play. And we just named all these Cubs, and because he's 900 cheap, 900 more expensive, we don't play him out of, I mean, this is not like a loaded position. So I can get behind Baez for sure.
Maybe these St. Louis guys aren't going to be as chalky as I thought, huh?
I mean, like, I think you're talking about 10 to 15% on most of them. And then like 20 plus on like Wong. That's where I think it'll probably be.
All right, we in the outfield?
We're in the outfield.
The two value plays, which we kind of touched on earlier, for me, were Alex Gordon from that game that you like and Brian Reynolds, who we talked about earlier. And then after that, I mean, I still think that maybe I'm biased. You know what I mean? But I shouldn't say that because although you keep referring to me as like my Yankees and your Yankees and whatever, and as I keep mentioning, I see the Yankees less than anybody. So maybe I don't quite understand. I just always just presumed that Stanton was like the best hitter in baseball. You know what I mean? Like I don't know why I think that. Maybe he just swings it so hard whenever I just happen to catch a glimpse.
When he's healthy, I mean, he is one of the best hitters in baseball.
So he's 4,600, and some of these other guys are 5,800. You know,
yeah, he's going to be the chalk for sure.
Oh, okay. So for me, he's just the best play if he's under 5K. But like you said, the weather is whatever. But dude, he swings it so freaking hard. I don't care. I mean, like, I don't know if the weather can hold him back.
Yeah.
But value guys, you could go back to, if you don't like Castillo, you could play Garcia again at 2,900. I alluded to David Dahl earlier at 3,100. If you want to place Colorado's, and then then you get kind of, I think, a chalky Ian Happ. And then we're down to guys like Springer who never get a hit anymore. Actually, that's not true. Springer's been doing okay.
I think like on the low end for me, it's Gordon, Reynolds, John Birdie.
Ooh,
be my favorite guys. I think that you're fine to play Matt Joyce at 2.7 if you want to take that shot. I would probably prefer him a little bit over Avisail, only because I kind of like Castillo, but they're all fine. Darren Ruff, if he gets in the lineup, certainly has the kind of power upside that could be good here, especially because if he gets in the lineup, it's unlikely they pinch hit for him if he's coming in the lineup against a righty to start with. So that he could be an interesting play, but those are most of the guys I'm spending down on. Spending up is weird because I like just getting. You want to play Stanton? I'm a tournament. Like my mind is just so locked in tournament mode. I see the prices and I want to try and figure out a way to get in judge. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I know I'm getting 1/3 the ownership, what is somewhere around there. George Springer is the other chalk guy, which makes perfect sense against the lefty, but he's going to be so popular. I'll just spade it. Again, you can use Edman out here. And then as a part of my stacks, what I'm going to do is say F it and overpay for Whit Merrifield and use him in those stacks.
Well, I really like the way you ended up again, because I was never, not was never considered it. Like when I looked at Kansas City, I said, okay, Gordon will play, whatever. But that on a 6-game slate. Look, you know the stand you're taking, not the stand you're taking. You're making kind of like a weather call here, right? Because across the league, the weather kind of is not exactly the greatest hitting weather in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, like normally when you'd have like Yankees or Braves even, actually Braves are a little bit better, but you really want to play these guys, but you think the weather is kind of not that great. So I don't know how great the weather is in St. Louis and Kansas City, but
it's a little bit better. It's 74. The wind's not blowing in; it's blowing across. Where the other stadiums, it's just blowing in and it's in the low 60s. it's just a little bit better. I don't have the umpire data. They don't release it that late on Mondays until later on Mondays. But that would be the other thing that would push me over the edge and maybe wanting to target specifically a game. It's not just the weather. It's the actual power upside, specifically for the righties of KC against Wainwright. And then you factor in the Gordon price, and then all of a sudden it makes you kind of want to do the stack. But it's not going to be popular. It's also, it is high volatility. I think there's a good chance that like Wainwright gets through 6 and gives up like 2 runs. But even then, he might give up 2 home runs and a stolen base. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's still enough room for your stack to get there as long as you don't fully 5-man. So
on a day like this where we're not too excited about the hitting, do you usually like to not use, everything's different, but would you even consider paying up for both the pitchers or would you try to avoid stacking, and just go 3-3-2s or stuff like that?
Well, I mean, yeah, but if I have a 3 or 4 man that I like, I don't need to, you know what I mean, to get any extra different. That was my original plan, was to try and see if I could get like a 3-3 and then a couple of the Pittsburgh guys, but with the KC and St. Louis. And it just built out perfectly to where I could get exactly what I wanted with McCullers and DeGrom, and basically a KC St. Louis combo stack that I can mix a bunch of different ways. So that's just my sort of thinking about what I'd like to do. I'm sort of a weird, odd slate, but I think it'd be what I can do and what I will have a pivot of is it's very easy to pay up for Luis Castillo. And I think that along with DeGrom, I think that might be another thing you could do. Not to get different, but just that might be the highest upside play you can make, and something I'm definitely considering doing instead of using McCullers. Even though I think McCullers is much, but it's weird. I don't feel like he's necessarily safer. I don't entirely trust him still. He's been all over the map this year. But yeah, Castillo, I think we talk about Milwaukee striking out. Now they're a better offense than they were, but if you can get that upside game from Castillo in terms of Ks, which is the one thing he's sort of been a little bit, he's been hit or miss more than he used to. I thought he was going to be a higher K pitcher this year than he has been. But certainly Milwaukee offers some upside in that realm. I think he struck out 9 the last time they played. So that's one thing I'm considering doing, is playing these two together.
You look at Adam Frazier at all as part of that Pittsburgh stuff, or not really?
Did he play?
I don't know.
Oh, he is playing. He's batting 8th. I'm not interested in him.
Okay.
A lefty. I mean, I'm surprised he doesn't even usually make the lineups when the lefty's pitching. But I guess he is today because they're short on guys. But you can fill out. There's enough cheap options you can pay up at both pitchers if you want to really easily, I think.
Maybe that's what I'll do. You know what I'll do? I'll probably do that in 1 or 2. Because that's not what I was really going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'll probably play 1 or 2 with DeGrom, because I didn't have any Castillo on DraftKings.
Right.
So maybe I'll do that with a couple. And the other thing I wanted to say about the Yankees is if what's his name gets in the lineup, and God forbid he gets a decent lineup spot. I mean, Brett Gardner's only 3,200.
Right.
I do like him.
Yeah, I mean. Wait, hold on. Why did it? Oh, there it is. Brian Reynolds already have my lineup. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't find this guy. But yeah, no, I think the little Pittsburgh 1 and 2 men are definitely interesting. And if you want to make it 3, that's fine. But I don't mind that as this being makes sense as a 3-3-2 kind of a night. I also think you could hope that both St. Louis and Atlanta are probably in the best spots in New York, I guess you could say. But they're the best spots to where they could really, a 5-man would really pay off because they could really destroy the team. I'm looking more to try and get the best power spots I can. That's just what I'm doing.
Yeah. All right. I mean, again, I'm actually this giving me a lot of food for thought on where to go.
Yeah, I just think that, and again, you can use the KC. I'm not saying KC is by far all these things. I'm just saying you can use these guys in a lot of different ways, and a lot of 2-men and a lot of one-offs. There's a lot of power the upside against Wainwright for basically Dozier, Franco, Perez, obviously Gordon and Merrick. Yeah.
Okay. You want to talk about the football game?
Let's talk about it, man. All right. Go ahead.
I have an opinion. And here's the problem. The problem is, and I'm really, really good at this, my opinion has just got to be what everybody's opinion is. But actually, I thought that, and then I remember that Michael Thomas wasn't playing, which is might help me out a little bit. So my opinion of this game is that the Saints just destroy them. Okay, no, Michael Thomas, I honestly don't care. I just think that Las Vegas is just not ready to deal with the Saints right now. I think the Saints defense is pretty good, and I think that the Saints can pretty much do whatever they want in this game. So my first instinct was, okay, so it's going to be one of those days where they're going to get a billion people different touchdowns for the Saints, right? And my initial thought was, okay, let's be easy. Let's take Taysom Hill, right? He's 2,200, and then just kind of play four guys from the Saints, and only take one guy from the Raiders, and take the easiest guy to play from the Raiders. Whether that be either you can make the case for Josh Jacobs, you can make the case for Darren Waller, or whatever it is, and then kind of just kind of be done with it. Then I started thinking a little more, and if I want to take a stand somewhere, I guess the first Saint I would come up with. I mean, again, talking about narrative, how about little Jared Cook revenge? You know what I mean? So if the Saints could do whatever they want, I think that they'll make sure to get Jared Cook a touchdown. I think they'll make sure to get Taysom Hill a touchdown. And I think that's probably where I would start with those two guys. Now, that's not going to be any big secret, right? But that's probably where I was going to start with Jared Cook and Taysom Hill.
Yeah, there's a site released something I saw that was kind of interesting, just about different correlative plays and guys who don't help each other. On one game slates, maybe that doesn't matter as much, but it still matters a little bit. Also, I just should add, I've got a couple big lineups in from yesterday. They played the 2-night slate yesterday, last night, and tonight.
So did I.
Which unfortunately, I played the Seahawks defense, which didn't do a lot for me. But I played Russell Wilson and Metcalf and Edelman. So it's basically, I don't know if I totally agree about the Saints dominating this game as much as you think they will. I do think that they're the better team and they should win the game, but I don't know that I trust them. They've also been awesome on the road over the last 2 years, so you can add that. I know, whatever. It's the first game in Vegas, but who knows what road is what anymore. The obvious plays you're looking for are Kamara, Jacobs, Sanders are like hard not to play on one game slates or whatever you're on, which I guess it'll only be a one game slate, but maybe leaving some money and like on the table and playing like Cooks over Waller. Not that you're going to get that much different, but leaving some money on the table and doing it. That's something I'm trying to think about for my 2-day thing anyway. But I think it might make sense even for the 1 day also. Waller and Jacobs and Ruggs, for example, all going off seems less likely. So maybe getting Cooks in instead. Also, I know New Orleans, gave up some points. They've historically been good against the tight end position, even though they gave up some points last week. And the Raiders have historically been very bad.
Let me ask you this: What about the logic that if you're going to play Taysom Hill, that maybe again it's only a 1 game slate, but Taysom Hill doesn't correlate well with Breeze, right? Nor does he correlate well with Kamara. So maybe I would make something where if I played Hill, I would play him without Breeze and without Kamara.
Yeah, if you play Hill, sure, people can play Taysom Hill. I get it for showdown things. I can't see how you could practically choose him and think that he's going to outscore either Jared Cook or Darren Waller, but it's possible.
Well, I think he's 2,000, right?
With that?
He's like 2,000.
Oh, you're talking about DraftKings specifically. I have no idea. I'm only looking at FanDuel, but
that's really funny. When has that ever happened? When have you only been looking at FanDuel?
They don't have 2-day things on DraftKings for this one.
Oh, I was just looking at the showdown.
No, we were talking. Remember that we were talking about how we have 2 lineups from yesterday? I thought you said you did.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, I was stuck on that. My bad.
Oh wait, so you have a choice? You have a swap you need to think about?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about I've got all the chalk guys with a pretty good lineup, but it's nobody to really differentiate. I've got Ruggs, Waller, Sanders, Jacobs, and Kamara. I think I might just play Jared Cook instead, just because he'll be a little bit less owned.
Oh, definitely you should play Jared Cook.
Jared Cook over Waller feels weird, but they're going to be they're both going to be owned. I don't know,
So
man.
What's your best lineup as far as points?
I only played 4 guys. So
right, that's what I'm saying. So what does that leave you? How many players left? 240? No, 300. How many minutes left?
I've got 180, 300.
So with one that you have 300 in, like how many points do you have?
I've got 70. I don't know. I'm trying to look at positions. It doesn't show you on the thing. But it doesn't matter because it's just about trying to do something different than what other people are going to do. So maybe leaving even more on the table instead of playing Ruggs, playing. I really don't like the other receivers.
What about? I don't know. You could try to do something different. You could play Bryan Edwards.
Yeah, that was the other one I was considering on FanDuel. Though it just seems like such a terrible play.
You're forgetting FanDuel. I don't even know that.
Yeah, I'm only on FanDuel, so it doesn't. I don't think I'd play on DraftKings tonight, but I do think that I would play those. I would consider those guys on DraftKings for sure. I just don't think you can play them on FanDuel.
Okay.
And even this, I'm having to give up. This feels like a lot to give up to just. I don't know. It's tough. I can't decide. I just feel like Waller is going to have the higher ceiling, and actually Cook's going to be more owned. You know what? I'm going to leave it. That's it. All right, what was the question? Bobby, Stars ML tonight. Do you know what that means, Sheets?
Stars ML?
I don't know what the question was. I don't know. You don't see the chat. It says, "Yo, Bobby, Stars ML tonight" with a question mark. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that
answer that one.
Argentina?
I don't know what that means either.
I like Cueto.
That was a little. Oh, you do see it now.
Oh, Dallas Stars money line.
I don't touch hockey at all. But so I'm sorry. That's like the one sport I can't help you out with. Sheets might be able to help you out.
What's the score in the series?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to any hockey whatsoever. It's the one sport I just don't touch.
Are they up 1-0?
I don't know.
I used to know how to do this a little bit. That's okay.
I don't have any idea about that one. They're 1-0 underdogs right now.
Okay.
So does that mean they win?
Yeah, Dallas up 1-0. No, I always liked. No, I like the other. I like the other side.
Basically, if you're ever down a game in playoffs in hockey, you should be betting on them. Okay.
No. In like it used to be. Again, like in the NBA, when they had the 7-game series, like for real, when they had the home and whatever it is, usually it was a really just kind of decent value to play the road team game 2 after losing game 1. Just the psychology of it, like the home team, they flex, they win, they think that they have the home court advantage, just going to win the second game. And that game 2 usually provides a little decent value for the road team. Now, again, it's different. Maybe, because hockey's not technically on the road or whatever it is. But, just, again, gun to my head, money line, I say to go the other side. I go, don't even know they're playing. But whoever Dallas is playing, I want them plus the money line.
There you go. All right, guys, ask any other QQs. We don't have any basketball today. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk about some basketball. We got a nice little fun 2-day slate.
Yep.
I don't think there's anything else, but any other QQs you want to get in, me and Sheets will be around for 2 minutes and go with it. Sheets, anything else before we do get out of here in case these guys don't have any QQs?
We're good. I got a lot to do now because I got to look into this St. Louis thing a little more. This KC.
I think KC, nobody's going to play him, and I like him a little bit. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. For Sheets, for everyone at BetQL, RotoQL, and QL TV. Thanks. We appreciate you. We appreciate you guys being here with us. And hit us up anytime on Twitter or anything like that if you have any other questions. We are out of here.
Hey, Bobby, once you stop the stream, can I still